Let's go. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's go. All right. Today, we're going to talk about a few cryptos, but let's go into Litecoin. I'm going to start big and then we'll go in a little deeper. Something I'm seeing that I like. So here's the big triangle. Again, I want us to kind of be coming up against this line, or even I'm good with like a break of 135 on the monthly, something like that. 130. Haven't had a close above 130 since December of 2021, so 4 years ago. So I'm good with that. It'll be up against this, and I think it'll break. But as you can see, that's quite a ways to go, and it's not necessarily looking imminent, but maybe that's what we want. I don't know. It has been looking imminent before, and it hasn't gone. So that's the big picture. Not a great week, considering last week was a flush. We got to get back up into this area, which could happen. Let's put on some moving averages. Yeah, just in this mess. Daily. Also, I think we could have an up day and get back up into this, and that would be pretty interesting. So let's see what happens there. Kind of like here, we just came down. It didn't look great, and then bam, it just went up. So I don't know. Hopefully that happens, but this also could easily be like a continuation down. But we, definitely got to hold this 72, 71 level. But yeah, that's what I'm looking with Litecoin. And then I just was kind of, here's the 4-hour chart, which kind of where there's a little bit better picture. I love this kind of structure in this scenario. I've seen it on XRP, on Stellar, even on Zcash before it went kind of parabolic. It really, I don't know, got the last paper hands out, then went higher. So, if we can go up to this $98 level, we'll create a nice little, wedge slash, pattern. So that's what I'm looking at here. Let's just put on some moving averages. It doesn't really matter. It's like 4 hour. This could easily get above, but there's the resistance. So something like that. And then of course this could happen, more next week or something, but we do need to get up out of this low. We don't want to spend too much time here, else we will go lower. See back here, we didn't spend too much time there, got higher, so didn't spend much time higher. Yeah, we will need to go higher relatively soon, because the more you stay in this area, it's just going to dump. So there's the Litecoin. We can just look at let me just go down here. I do like this. A lot of buying against Bitcoin all month, really. And also not terrible on the Litecoin USD chart. Look at that line. There's the 100. At some point, we're going to break this for the last time. But it's not happened yet. Look at this over here. Kind of like that. Just that it's respecting the $100 psychological level. But yeah, I don't see any buying here, but no selling, so that's all right. Yeah, so that's really all I got to say about Litecoin. It needs to go up. That's about all I got to say about that. Now, I just want to look at basic attention token, Brave. It's just doing really well recently. We're at levels not seen since January, so almost a year. kind of like this breaking out of here, holding these levels, showing relative strength in the market, obviously. So I'm a fan. In a way, I don't think it's an odd one in a way. Um, so we'll see how it does. This is a weekly. Again, we're below the 200 week moving average. I think we will go higher. I don't know where. I don't have like a great beat on this, but we are breaking some trend lines. We're looking a little scoopy. I just can't get excited about something really that was just making um, cycle lows in June of this year. If this would have held and been a little more uppy, I would be more excited. But this could totally go back to the 35, 40 cent level, make another, little dip and go higher. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially with the relative strength of the market. I think that's important to note. I can just pull it up real quick. Oops. Of course, everything looks terrible on a long time frame against Bitcoin, which is a reminder always. Everything bleeds out into Bitcoin. That's just what happens, but you can have outperformance at times. And this looks absolutely incredible against Bitcoin, right? So I think that needs to be, given credit here. So we'll see. The trend is up against Bitcoin for now, and we'll kind of just see how that goes. But just to kind of show you. And then let's look at the order book. The order book's been looking pretty good for that for a while, honestly. A lot of green, getting some selling every once in a while. This is against Bitcoin. That's fine. Here's against the dollar. So we are getting some selling here. So, which it has respected the selling. Usually, you can see here was a kind of a top, another top. So, it's just I'm just kind of talking about this one. I'm not super jacked up about it, but sometimes those are the best plays. It's kind of whipped me around a little bit, so we'll see. Definitely not a huge, I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable putting a huge bag of this, but I think you can have a little bag. Not bad. Now, I wanted to also just kind of bring up another old crypto that looks a lot like Verge on a chart, and that is NANO. Again, this was a 2017 crazy one. I mean, what? From a penny to $30. I mean, that's crazy. Don't you wish you had the knowledge you do now back in 2017? Well, actually, 2017, you didn't have to earn the money. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't have. It doesn't matter. Nobody knew there wasn't anything to go on, but these things just went up. So your chances of losing money were essentially zilch. But here's that chart. Again, it looks a lot similar to Verge. So I think it's interesting. It's, extremely volatile. See, Verge is a little better. I like it kind of how it's up more higher on this chart, bouncing it at the top recently versus Nano's kind of bouncing a little more on the bottom. But it's really coming into the apex, So this thing has to break soon. So, 3 days left. I doubt it could easily get up to $1.25. That would be a break for me. I'd be good with that. But then on the flip side, of course, you break below, 55 cents. I don't think it's going to hold like it did last month. So we'll see. But think Virgin Nano could be like if somebody wanted to get just absolutely reckless and risky. You put in those are your two. Just who knows? Both not on Coinbase. Um, I think this one's on like a few exchanges. It's Nano on these yet. It's on Kraken. So again, not a lot of holders. Definitely not a lot of bag holders for Nano because not a lot of people use Kraken. So there's that. Let's see. Yeah, just want to say that I don't have any information on the order book for this one, and we'll go back to the stocks from yesterday. Rivian and Rivian had a good day. Close that gap. You can be long this stock right now. I don't think you need to wait. The week, obviously, market's close today, and it will be. I think it's half day on Friday, or a shortened day, and we are going to close above the green one, or ideally. So definitely, you could also wait till Friday, see where it closes, but close above $16.20 is an activation for me on a weekly. Again, below 200, so I'm expecting a maybe $35 range. That looks beautiful to me. That makes sense to me. Coming months, put a target. Yeah, definitely at about $34. That sounds real accurate for me based on this. So Rivian, I'm a fan here, and Zoom needs more work, and that's now we have an inside candle from the big earnings day. Which again, I mean, you don't yet. I want this to break $89. That's what I want. Well, not or 91. I don't care. That's fine. Especially now that we got an inside candle, we might get a few more days inside this big candle before deciding what to do. But although this was a great day because you start at 78, you end at 86. That's a great day. But also, it did get all the way up to $91, and then came down off that. So it's showing strength, but not like incredible strength. I guess is all I would say there. Here's our friend GSAT. What's this doing? So this is doing great. This is a level we've seen before. So could we come back down? Of course, absolutely. But I still like this to go higher with the momentum that it obviously has now. Oh wow, we're getting 2 insight weeks. So yeah, I mean, a stop loss below 53 is a good idea. And then if it gets above $65, $66, I think we got some more upside here. But yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Silver's doing great. Gold's doing great. Silver, I was just looking at this. I mean, this is possibly the greatest cup and handle to ever exist. If we look, this goes back to 1980. It's absolutely insane. We got to use a 3-month chart. Let's use a 6-month chart. That's crazy. 6-month chart. But here's the cup and handle. Still have a month left to go on this candle, but that's a break to me. Could measure it from different ways depending on what you're using, but $34 move. I think $34 to $40 move easily. You know, it could take us to $75 to $80. So I think silver's going to 80 at least to start with. But these things move so slowly. I just haven't been the greatest at figuring out how to trade them. And of course, we've gone up a lot, so you could always have a pullback at any moment. So I don't, the entry, definitely if you're holding, I think you stay long for sure. Like I don't see any reason to sell yet, in my opinion. But, if you're waiting to enter, maybe we do come back down and form a little more consolidation and go higher. And it's doing a little better than gold even, so that's interesting. Let's go back to the crypto. Bitcoin, everything had a little bit of a pump at some point yesterday. I'm not really sure why that happened, but it did, so that's good. But again, this is tough. If we put on the moving averages, that's tough. These are sloping down aggressively. The 200 is turning over, and we need Bitcoin to do a little bit for us to get some of these other altcoins to go. So I could easily see, us coming up into any level of the, 110 to, 100 level. And then I would expect either more downside or at least, a little bit of downside before going up. But this is our little bit of a problem here is, could we go up to here? Make some sort of higher low. But if you see, this is going to take a while. So, but yeah, need that to go. And same with, XRP, going to have a little bit to go. I mean, these are a little better looking, so that's good. Monero, I like Monero here. It is up against this absolutely beautiful ascending triangle. So some of these other ones, I mean, are kind of at the bottom of it. So we'll see how this goes. But I think it could go to 800 pretty quickly. That's kind of my initial target for Monero. And let's see if we have anything else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to talk about. But yeah, all right. Sounds good. Let's go. Happy Thanksgiving. Ciao, ciao.